the contracts and whatever contract we think we have gotten as an FM or as a facility management company to be valid. And you made us understand that SLA is more like a Bible document. That actually struck me to the extent that it is conveniently easy for you to just open it up, see what is required of you. Even if the goalpost is going to be changed along the line, you will be so guided to call the attention of your client or your customer to the fact that, okay, we have to do a change or we have to input this, and it will come with XYZ, maybe cost or instruction and all of that.
Yeah.
So the Bible document of an SLA is one thing I held on to from the last class, and I also appreciate the fact that what we do should be defined by why we do it. So as a facility manager, it is a top-notch job, and we just have to be at our best at every time. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I have a fair lower right. Okay, you'll be the last person to comment. Go ahead.
So in the last class, you laid emphasis on, as a facility manager, you should work to reduce requests from the clients. The lesser requests you have from the clients shows your attentiveness to work and shows your preparedness to work. So as a facility manager, always work to reduce requests from the clients, always be prepared, always carry out checks.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for everyone. Being proactive is one of the, they're setting, high level mindset shifts that you're going to be learning in this course, and some of it dropped in that first class. In this class and in subsequent class, you will be getting some of those strong positions. Not everybody in this profession have my kind of opinion when it comes to training the mind for excellence in our industry. I see online some experts in FM coming to say things like FM is not a magician, push back when they push at you, tell them, yeah, it's not possible, tell them it's a problem you inherited. I don't have that philosophy. I don't. And I don't train my students to have that philosophy. We don't teach here that you can become antagonistic for any reason. No matter what is thrown at you, there is always a cool-headed way to deal with it. And there are always ways you can prevent such things from being thrown at you. Because you could have two different people managing two different sites. As at the time they came in, you don't know, the difference between customers A and customers B. But within a short while, you begin to hear how customers A are reacting and throwing things out, right? It begins to look as if they are being irrational, they are being this and that and that. But let me tell you the truth. There are certain things that should have been done to manage them from the expectation standpoint that were not done. There are certain things that should have been done to manage them from the process standpoint in terms of contracts, the kind of details, the types of metrics that are built into their contract that were not done, right? So when you now come later and you're not trying to manage them by just talking through, you might see intelligent ones like lawyers and the rest throw all kinds of spanners and spokes at you, and it looks as if they are being wicked. They're not being wicked. We have failed, and we have led them to a point where they now begin to attack us. And when somebody says, "Oh, well, we had a question in our last class where developers will build rubbish, like absolute rubbish. All the things they promised in their sales documents, everything will be upside down when they finally deliver. They promised marble floor. They will use broken tiles to finish it. They promised smart buildings. They will put $2 clappers that you clap or you clap, the lights will not go off. You end up sleeping with light on in your face, and you'll be wondering what is going on. Why are they promising A and giving B? But the person who has bought it now has a lot of anger built up in his mind and is waiting for you, the FM, to show up. When you now show up in that kind of scenario, what do? Do you say, look, please just give me my peace? I am not part of the deal you have with the developer. By the way, who brought you in? Who are you now representing? There's nothing that can separate you from what has happened before. And that's where the problem lies. Many FMs still think that they can come into such scenarios and separate themselves from what has happened before them. No, even if a new FM company takes over from an old FM company, you cannot disown what was done to your clients before you came. You have to find a way to own it, manage them out of that situation. That's all we teach here. And because it's possible, it's been done and you can all do it, okay? All right, I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so I see a question from Chikemeka. I'd love to know more about the report system and structure you just mentioned. So what I simply will do is this. I will go to Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, depending on which one you are using, right? Then I will create a form. When I create that form, for each person I have on the field, security guard, cleaner, I know where they cover, right? I will put certain things that I know that I need to know, like I need to know the status of a pump, for example. I need to know how clean a certain area is. I need to know water supply. I need to know the state of a toilet, because you know what has been giving you all kinds of issues in the past, and you don't want those kind of surprises again. So I will create a form and I say, please add a photograph, snap, you can have that snippet that allows you put in a camera icon or a photo upload onto that form, right? Then you can have a comment, right, where the person puts a comment, or you can even have a drop down. The forms have different things you can put into them. So for this area, I've titled this line item MD's toilet, for example, right? Then item 1, checklist. There's a checklist at the door. Take a snapshot of the checklist. So if I want to know whether the checklist is being filled every hour, that toilet is being checked, for example, take a sample of that checklist. Is the toilet having tissue? Does it have water flowing? Is it looking clean? Just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, right? I'll set up as a form. That form is with me in my own back end. I'll just send the link by WhatsApp to the staff on ground and say, please, on a daily basis, click this link and fill it for me. Every day they wake up, they click it and fill it. The form will be empty every day they open it and fill it. But on the back end, I'll be seeing their entries. So it's a dynamic way of simplifying technology. If you don't have a software, these are some of the things that people that build softwares and sell software, they put into software. So when you have a software running, you put the app or icon in everybody's phone so that they can just go and do those things. But I'm not going to say until you have a software in place, you cannot do them. There are many things you can do using simple forms. People anywhere can be dropping information. So you have a master spreadsheet where all that information is feeding into. So every day you open it, you know what's happening in here, you know what's happening there, you get a clue, what's going on. So that's just about that structure. It's a simplified way of knowing things, that's on ground that you cannot get your eyes on. Okay. Okay, I think we can get into this class then. I share my screen. All right. So in today's session, we're trying to give you, we call this one a facility management career course. We're trying to give you a big picture view of the FM profession from the individual's professional career path point of view. We want to give you a view of the kind of competencies that you will need to navigate to the top. Sometimes you get into a job or a career because an opportunity came, In fact, most of us in facility management, apart from very few, I am one of the very few people that left architecture from school and went into facility management deliberately. In fact, I was already practicing facility management when I was still in my university days from year 2 as a consultant, yes, as a young consultant to people who were in facility management jobs, but they lacked certain basic skills to do the job. So things like scoping of work, for example, maintenance jobs, I was doing it for them. I would go and use my technical skills to do measure drawings, to come up with bill of quantities, right? Those were some of the things I was doing right from year 2. And I was getting paid, because I always, had that interest. But most of us were read something. When we were studying in school, we had our mindset on something else. When we came out and started working, we were also in something else. Very few had that. I'm going to be a facility manager. I know all about facility management. This is what I want to do as a career. So we found ourselves here, but too many people struggle to grasp the profession. So for many years, they don't structure their careers along a path of progress. It just happens that they are here, but then they become stunted. They don't know what the opportunities are. So they don't grow. And because they don't know the body of knowledge of facility management, they also don't study to be able to deliver it well, especially at the strategic level. So they don't ever rise up to strategic level thinking, to contributions to key performance indicators. So the career becomes that career of someone who is just there, barely surviving. Yesterday, I was with someone who, yesterday, Thursday, he worked for 16 years in an organization where I worked for just 4 years and left. And his salary, his earnings did not grow significantly for 16 years. And I know that if I was still in that organization, if I stayed maybe 2 more years, I would have been earning millions per month, at least almost 2 million per month. Why do you have someone be there and so overlooked on virtually almost everything because he's not adding to the strategic achievement of goals? It's just doing the basic things I've been asked to do, not expanding, not magnifying this position that we have. So when we say facility management helps to oil the wheel and make it possible for the organization to achieve its strategic objectives, we call our profession the team that enables the organization to achieve its objective. When we have that kind of pride, it requires us to learn and understand the full scope, know what we are supposed to advance in, know how we are supposed to contribute better and more in a more advanced way to have that fulfillment. You're not a strategic enabler just by mouth. There's something that you must elevate yourself up to make that I am now a strategic enabler real in your career. So that's where I want to, like a background to today's discussion. We need to move away from the mundane, what we used to call the both and not facility management practice, to strategic facility management practice. And in today's session, we're going to be focusing on ourselves, the individual, you. What do you need to learn? What competencies must you acquire? What are the steps you need to start focusing on building on? It doesn't matter what age you are learning this. In the next 5 years, I always have that rule of thumb of 5. In the next 5 years, you should be able to advance, develop, transcend whatever you have achieved in the last 10, 15, 20 years of your career. That's just the truth. Because now you are focused. Now you know exactly where to put your investments. Okay? So that's the background I want to give you for today's class. So let's start with, what do you know, people start in this profession. So, oh, I've been earning so much, I've been director of operations, I've been blah, 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 but I want to learn facility management, I want to come into FM. There are a lot of experiences that you can carry, what we describe as transferable skills, right? From virtually everything you have done into FM. So a medical doctor of the last 10, 15 years already has acquired a lot of transferable skills into FM. That's why sometimes I see medical people coming for this program. I'm impressed because they don't slack. They already have some strong backgrounds. Lawyers, accountants, engineers, everybody will come with something. But when you come into this profession as an experienced person in wherever you are coming from, you have to be ready to do that balancing act. I used to be a boss in that position I used to hold, but now I am a beginner in this one. What kind of sacrifice can you make to be able to acquire some kind of experience? Because once you acquire experience that is focused now in FM, it dovetails into what you have already acquired before. It tends to come and give validation to all the other titles you've held and experiences you've had. One of the reasons why we structure the FM diploma in such a way that people who are completely new, who have no jobs, can have an opportunity to add work experience to their CV with 6 months of internship was just deliberate. Because we didn't want a situation where we finish training people and they go for the positions we're trying to place them on, and then the question starts popping up, they don't have experience. They don't have experience. We want to make sure that there's an automatic experience in it. So what does that mean? For those of you who are taking this opportunity from us, it means that you have to come down to gain the experience. You have to see that 6 months internship as part of your training, if you're going to start that route. Then for those who are already experienced, who has already had many years of experience, are currently working and earning well, we simply say, begin to apply what you are learning here into the work that you currently do. Begin to support the teams around you, even if it's not directly your responsibility. There's some contribution, there's some support you will provide. You become highly recognized as good in this area. And in many organizations, people have come to this program, got to the FM diploma, and ended up displacing people who didn't know what they were doing, running FM for those organizations. You start by helping them, and might begin to notice and realize that you are better, and move those other ones to elsewhere and put you there to do it directly. But when you start advancing in your career, we often make this mistake of, I've had a first degree, I should go and have another first degree, or a second degree, I should have a second degree, a third degree. We just keep talking about degrees. When it comes to professions, degrees are not important. Not important. What you need are credentials and certifications. Degrees are nice to have. You can pile them up later when you now begin to feel a sense of esteem and fulfillment. You can now begin to have degrees. And why do I say that? The degree from one university compared to the degree from another university are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. So you see, because there is no standard for degrees, what's the need to stockpiling them? So credentials and certifications are the way to go. And my rule of thumb is simple. In every 5 years, ensure that you acquire something new that is tangible. A credential, a certification. Even if you want, if you're now at the point where you're not adding degrees, make sure that in a 5-year period of your work, you don't work continuously for 5 years and you not add anything to yourself. I understand the pressures of life. We get married, we raise kids, we have to buy land and build a house and all that. But the capacity to keep earning and keep growing depends how much we can invest in ourselves. As you are getting experience, people are also watching that you are also adding to yourself. So don't get relaxed, don't become relaxed that this job is so secure. I don't have any fear they will fire me. I will always be promoted. And as such, there's no need for me to stress myself with additional skill acquisition. It has been the undoing of too many people. Now, the second thing that also worries me, especially from the standpoint of the young people, is they look for work when they finish school, they didn't get a job. They find something in FM because FM is always, there's always vacancy in FM. And everybody believes that anybody can do FM. So they just put you there. You know what? Supervise these cleaners. Make sure they paint it well, or this cleaner they clean well. Make sure the technicians don't steal money. Just be counting what they are bringing and taking out. FM job has started. So the person is there, recording, writing reports according to whatever they told him to be doing. Right? So that's how I started. But that person studied chemistry. And when he thinks about investing in himself, because he's heard some motivational speaker about investing in himself, he goes to take form for part-time masters in chemistry, industrial chemistry, sophisticated chemistry, special chemistry. You are gaining experience in FM, 3, 4, 5 years. You are gathering qualifications in chemistry. That is one, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like choking your career. By the time you are done, the chemistry jobs will not take you because they're also looking for experience. Besides, you are now older, so you cannot be an entry level. I'm sure you know that most companies consider 25 and older experienced positions. If you are 25 and below, entry level. If you are more than, they don't think you are entry level anymore, right? So you are missing out on the stockpiling of chemistry degrees and certifications, whereas your experience is building in FM. You know what? You can get what? You go for FM interview, you want a promotion, you want an advancement, and they are telling you, sorry, you've been in this profession for 5 years. You've not learned anything new. You've not gained any certification. You've not gained any diploma or any qualification. We can't trust that you are good at what you are doing. You see how people end up missing out. They didn't plan it that way. They just were misdirected, studying one thing and doing another. So if you've been in FM for even up to 2 years, digging in my profession, first I can assure you that there will be no job scarcity in FM. Ask now, look at what happened to IT. You know how many hundreds of thousands of IT professionals have been dropped in this less than 15 months of AI stepping in? Do you know how many of them were dropped? IT programmers that were earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, they were dropped in thousands, because that is a profession that is going to keep evolving. They themselves will create the tools that replace them. It's not as if IT is bad, it's still a lucrative profession. But it gets to a point where it becomes saturated, the demand drops, what you can get out of it can drop as well, right? Because AI can begin to do most of the things. FM is a humanistic profession. You get involved in what is happening. It's generally to the point where you can become a master of so many things that if IT becomes profitable tomorrow, you can still step into IT because of what you have garnered for yourself as facility manager. So it's a huge opportunity. Don't allow that divergent studying and experience. Make sure there's alignment in what you are studying and what you are gain experience in, and make sure that you don't stop learning and acquiring new qualifications and certifications in your career in facility management. Okay, so I'll just tell you a few opportunities that are available. The International Facility Management Association has the Essentials of FM. It's a series of 10 workshops with 10 small certificates. It's more like the operations and maintenance program that IFMA provides. So this is a certificate. It gives you a certificate, not a certification. Then IFMA provides the facility management professional. Let me give you a background to this. IFMA defined that there were 11 core competencies. We talked about those 11. It was in your first class. The 11 core competencies that the FM needs to acquire, to become a well-rounded, productive, and valuable FM. We're going to talk about those competencies today in this session. But the first 4, which they regard as the core competencies, or the core of the core, are put together into the Facility Management Professional FMP credential, which covers operations and maintenance, project management, finance and business, leadership and strategy. Then the competence, which is the sustainability competence itself, is packaged with more details. It's focus on environment, focus on green buildings, focus on high-tech solutions and latest technology are built into the Sustainability Facility Professional, the SFP. So the FMP and the SFP are credentials. They are not just certificates like the essentials that I talked about a moment ago. These ones are credentials. When you get a credential, you earn a designation with it. So if you are Paul Erubami FMP, that is a lifetime designation. Paul Erubami FMP SFP, that is a lifetime designation because I have earned this credential. These are still not certifications. They are credentials. The difference between credentials, certificates, and certifications is that a certification needs to be maintained. It expires. By global standards now, a valid certification must be renewed every 2 years. So the Certified Facility Manager is the only globally recognized certification in facility management. Is the APEX certification, and it expires every 3 years. You have to be working and practicing, continuously mentoring and coaching others, teaching and doing other things, attending events to garner the points to renew it at the end of that 3 years, and you pay again after that 3 years, whereas these other 2 credentials are for life. The way the IFMA offers these courses too are also different. The FMP and the SSP are offered as online, learning, and the exam is in there. So you just do the course, you take the exam at your leisure, pass it at your leisure. In fact, for each of them, you can have access to them on that portal for up to 24 months. And every month you can be attempting each of the exams three times, which means you have 72 attempts for the FMP focus 4 exams, for the SFP 3 exams. You have 72 attempts in 2 years to get it right. It's a no-brainer. Nobody can fail it. But the CFM, you need to do an exam that has an invigilator. That's called a Pro-Talks exam. Before, you used to go to a Prometric exam center to go and write the exam. But, the Prometric exam center, CFM was removed from there. For many years, Nigerians had to go to Ghana to use Prometric to write the CFM until we fought, and luckily we can now do the CFM as a Pro-Talks online exam. What it means is that an invigilator from somewhere in the world will be with you throughout every second, watching you. And they would have scanned your room, scanned everywhere to make sure that you don't have anything written on the wall that will give you expo in the exam. It has to be very sure that it's certified. It starts. If he wants to go to the toilet, he pause your exam. If you want to go to the toilet, he pause your exam until if he's not seeing the example, and if you fail or pass, is known on that spot, you come back in 6 months' time after paying you money to come and do it. But the CFM contains all 11 competencies. So if you've had the FMP4, had the SFP1, you now have 6 more to cover to end the CFM. And you can't do it unless you have up to 5 years, 3 years if you have an FM degree, which is not common around us, 5 years experience at a managerial level to be able to qualify to take the exam. And then the British Institute of Facility Management that transitioned into IWFM, Institute of Workplace and Facility Management, also have their own set of courses, but mostly aligned with the British educational system. So they have their qualification systems that those training with their skill set partners in the UK offers. And then there is the RICS, the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. It's a global body started in the UK as well, over 200 years old, that provides charter or certifications for all built environment professionals. So surveyors, planners, designers, and facility managers, we take up positions in RICS. Some people have to do an exam to get certain positions. Some people have to be interviewed depending on the kind of achievements you've had in your FM career already. And as you pick things up, start networking, I know so many facility managers that don't belong to any professional body. They don't attend conferences. They don't volunteer for industry events. Even though they know what they are doing as FM, they've gone to the course, they've acquired certification, they are still lost in the scheme of things. Companies will be saying they're lawyers to MBA conferences, engineers to NSC conferences, and the FM will be as if he doesn't have anywhere he belongs. The accountants are doing their thing. Don't make that your call. Don't make that your choice. We need to be visible. In Nigeria today, we have the Association of Facility Management Practitioners, AFMPN, is the Nigerian body of professional facility managers. Before we created the AFMPN, we had branches of IWFM, we have IFMA in Lagos and Abuja. We even had the Nigerian organization, IGFM, that started enlisting people for FM association activities. But we all decided to come together and create the Association of Facility Management Professionals of Nigeria. And currently, I'm the president, the national president. This is the second tenure, the second presidency or council that we've been having since 2017 when it was formed. So it's a vibrant group. We have a WhatsApp platform, the Telegram platform. We have a website, afmpn.org, where you can just sign up and register. And until today, we've kept the membership dues or fees to just 10,000 naira a year. The whole year, you just contribute 10,000 naira to the association as membership fee. So it's very reasonable, and you can all be part of it. And certificate, the membership certificate is quite beautiful, and it's issued every year. So there's, every new certificate of membership. I always advocate to have everyone, being part of the national body, because it's still young. It's still young. In the years to come, when we start, dealing with having fellows inducted, having people in different classes of the profession, really joiners and pioneers will have so much the advantage. And then there are local training, in addition to these international ones. Max-Migold, right now is at the center of most of the local training. We've partnered. I was in Alphamid. Max-Migold delivered most of the short courses in IFMA for many years. We had partnerships with other organizations in Abuja and Port Harcourt, but our passion to just keep driving content creating solutions for empowering with capacity in our FM teams has been unparalleled so far in Nigeria, and we are seeing the fruit of it. I wish some of you were at our last graduation. More than 100 people, all excited about what they have learned, all excited about the difference this was making in their careers. They came to the graduation. It was an amazing event that held on December 16th. If you visit Max-Migold channel on YouTube, you will see, it's a whole world of facility management, our events, our free training sessions like this, all recorded and are there. Just spend time, when you're playing around, getting your job done or whatever, hook up your headsets and be on that channel for a while and begin to see, things that we have put together in terms of content there. Okay, so what are the skills you need to excel in facility management? People skills, number one. Being good with machines will not take you far. Being good with people, all people, when I say all people, I mean all stakeholders. Your workers, your vendors, your visitors, your users of the building, everybody, the management. You have to be analytical, be able to solve problems. The FM is not the one that throws his hand in the air and say, there's nothing I could do. The problem just came. No, you're a problem solver. In fact, by the time you are doing well in FM, people are starting beginning to praise you for your ability to find solutions to naughty situations. You manage time effectively. Why do we tell FMs to be proactive, to plan and schedule and reduce the occurrence of reactive stuff? It's because even if you plan very well, the things that you did not plan for will crop on you, let alone you did not plan. So many FMs go to work with no idea what the day holds for them. They don't have any plan, and they react to things as it comes. That is not facility management. That's not what we're talking about. Because when you're here, you need to have everything arranged, according to clockwork. That is the only time you will have the means, the mindset to deal with the other things that crop up. Then we spend money. FM spend money. But most FMs don't understand money. As far as they are concerned, they have issues to resolve and they need money to get it done. So they just demand for money. Many don't know how to report on, first, create the kind of business cases that leads management to see the value you are bringing for the money you are asking. And then you don't know how to report, that basic value. And concepts like time value of money, impact of multiple options or choices in solving situations or providing solutions. FM needs to understand the broad range. So we have a course. Most of these things are going to be covered. And if you look at all of these skills, very few are technical skill. Oh, I'm good with air conditioning. I'm good with generators. Are you seeing any of them here? No. You need to become a generalist, a master of all of those, not a specialist. Being able to manage the specialists, being able to find them, being able to scope work for them, being able to evaluate their performance, being able to report on how they are doing, and giving information to the clients that meets the expectation of that client is what you do. So you are in management, not a technician. So you must understand business, you must understand money, you must understand the strategic, the reasons behind certain decisions taken by management. And then projects. Much of the things we do in FM require that we set a goal and then put in place an action plan to achieve that goal. That is a project. In facility management, we did not reinvent project management. We picked project management as defined by Project Management Institute. The same steps, elements of project management, the processes they teach by project management is what we adopt. There's no need to reinvent it. So anywhere you learn about project management, anywhere, it is the same thing that we're using in FM. And that's why I always say, project management is not a professional. Don't go and say, I'm a project manager. You have to add the domain or the profession in which you are a project manager. I'm a finance project manager. I'm a construction project manager. I'm a facility project manager. I'm a maintenance project manager. You have to have a domain in which that competence of project management can apply, because you'll be making a fun of a joke of yourself if you just say, I read project management, and you don't have a profession. Networking. There's nothing we do in FM that does not require a team, a group of people, ideas from multiple. It's not possible. So you must be able to have that ability to connect. You must be able to research and write. So maybe this is more like the technical aspects, if we look for that technical thing that FM should do. Your writing goes before you, your proposals go before you, your budgets go before you. You must be able to write well. So even if you have to go and start learning, basics of how to structure business letters, how to write proposals, how to develop reports, how to use the desktop tools like Excel and Word and PowerPoint, you need to as an FM, because those are the things that your ability to use them to get your job done, they tell well of you. Judgments are made about you when you are not there. Leadership. The FM must be a good leader. What makes you a leader? We can see the difference between where you are, circumstances around you, and where you should be. A gap exists. And you must be able to cast that vision in the minds of others so that you can come up with a plan and work together. They all work from internally. And this applies to your subordinates, people at your level, and people above you. You need to be able to lead those. We have a class to really discuss, because sometimes people say, oh, can I lead my boss? You have to be able to lead your boss or you fail. Innovative approach. Some of the things I discussed in class are things I used in the 2004, 2003, 2002 era of my career, where it's still looking like fantastic idea, innovative idea today. Where I am now with my thinking on innovation is way, way, way more. Nobody in this country sees where FM is going. I see it very clearly. So I'm developing processes, softwares, teams on BIM, on IoT, on advanced sensors, remote FM, things that are sophisticated. But again, you don't want your innovation to lead you out of reality, because it's possible to innovate away from reality. So while I am thinking in that advanced stage, I'm dealing with the reality of today's business, where many organizations cannot still afford software of 3 million, 4 million. They still can't afford it. So, I mean, they have to still deliver processes, even in the paper environment. So we'll start looking for Google Forms and Microsoft Forms. Let's see how we can format and make something out of it. You must be able to make decisions on your feet. A bad decision is not the one that led to the worst outcome. A bad decision is the one that was not reasoned through, or there was no reason for it being taken. If you analyze a situation and you take a decision promptly, the outcome is irrelevant. The rationale, the thinking that led to that decision is more important. But that bad decision, or the one that had a bad outcome, is still better than indecision, when you are undecided and you allow things just happen. Being IT savvy, I link that to innovation, innovative approach. But the FM knows numbers, numerical know-how. So if you are still saying things like, oh, some said, some did, the others, no. You have to use numbers. Oh, and the water was much in the tank. How much water is measured in liters? Your electricity unit is almost finished. How many units is left? How many do you use in a day? How long will this one that is left take you? You deal with numbers. Somebody is quoting ₦1 million. Another person is quoting 1.5 million naira. Oh, let's give it to the one of 1 million. But the one of 1 million says you should pay him up front. The one of 1.5 says he can get his money in 6 months' time. Can you make an objective decision between the 1 million and the 1.5 million? Because most people here will say, let's take the one of 1 million. Because it's cheaper. How do you know it's cheaper when you've not done the numbers? If I put out 1 million today, is there something I could do with that 1 million as a business to earn more than 1.5 million in 6 months? There's a concept called internal rate of returns. The FM should understand that. There's a concept called time value of money, net present value, future value of money, that tells you that tomorrow's money is less than today's money. And you may not remember your 4-figure tables in school, but there's a calculation for comparing today's money to tomorrow's money. So should I give 1 million today, or hold on to my 1 million and let the other guy do it for 1.5 and give him 1.5 in 6 months? You need to use your numbers to make that decision. So sometimes proposals go up. Management will look at it and, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He wants to pay 1 million up front. They may not even have the time to explain to you your ignorance. That's the problem. They'll just say, not approved, pending, keep in view. They'll put all those comments on it and your project is hanging. And you keep complaining how they don't, accept your ideas and your recommendation and blah, blah, blah. Your has been that analysis. Your numbers are not right. Okay? So it's very important that FMs understand some of the things that management at their level, they already know, but we may just struggle here and there. So I'm going to take a 5-minute break, come back and take these 11 competencies: communication, environmental stewardship, sustainability, project management, technology, finance and business, leadership and strategy, human factors, operations and maintenance, real estate and property management, quality, emergency preparedness, and business continuity. These will give us the full scope of FM competencies that we should prepare ourselves for. Okay, 5 minutes break. See you in a bit. Please put it in the group that we are on break so that if anybody is out and in, will not say, I'm not hearing anything. All right, welcome back. I hope we are still here.
Yes, we are.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so the first competence is that of communication. You must be able to manage the development and use of a facility communications plan. Many facility managers know how to respond to requests for information. What we're talking about here. No. So what is a facility communications plan? First, you identify all your stakeholders. What information would they need from me? What information will I need from them? What frequency will this information be generated and shared? Then how will I deliver the information I need to give them? And how will I request the ones they need to give me? It has to be a schedule that carries all the meetings. Each meeting that will be held regularly is planned in there. The objective of the meetings, the kind of agenda that the meeting should have, the newsletters you will send to people, the kind of reports that you will send to different people, the kind of information you would ask, how you will interact with the procurement and the accounts. You need to create a plan. This is front-end work. It's not, I'm not becoming a facility manager. So when they come and when they need anything, they can just tell me and ask me. No. In fact, the less people ask you, the more professional you are, because you already given them what they need before they even think of coming to you. To the extent that they don't even bother to come to you when they need something, because they know that on schedule, there are other things that you're already doing, get to them and they will appreciate it. The facility manager who is good with communication will not have a story of they didn't approve, or the residents don't like me, or they don't want us to, they are not cooperative. No, you won't have that, because you have the competence to be able to prepare messages that delivers the intended result, achieves the intended results. With all stakeholders, so it's very important to know that this is not just, I can manage my vendors. No. Everybody involved in your business, you should be able to manage them with proper communication. You see, when we define expectations with the customer and start working based on those expectations, what we are doing is now being judged according to the perception that is based on the expectation we join them to work on. But if you focus on what you are doing and you ignore them, the expectations can be very high, just like a man that earns 100,000 does not want to tell the wife how much he earns. Keeps that to himself and brings out 5,000 every day. Hey, take 2,000. Oh, I'm the boss. By the time you are finished spending the whole 100,000, your wife's mind is thinking you still have 200,000 somewhere. That's where people start from. Whatever made to hide your resources, it will choke you eventually, because problem will come from somewhere. That's how communication is in FM. We try to focus on what we have control over, and we forget that we can also control what's going on in the mind of people that are perceiving and rating our jobs. Risk. This particular competency is basically about risk. If something happens and it surprises you, then you have failed. That's my summary. So applying a set of tools and principles to be able to anticipate and envisage. You don't want to come and tell excuses to your customers why something did not work, or why you didn't provide a certain service. Oh, something happened and that happened, and those are all stories. You don't have a hand in their happening, but you have a hand in not being able to anticipate that they might happen. That failure makes you complicit in an emergency situation that you don't have control over. Do you need to play the devil's advocate frequently? The answer is yes. So, should you carry on with the mindset of God forbid? That's not my portion. I cannot think evil. This profession requires you to think of all. And the funniest thing is, you don't even need to think too far. If you've been in an FM space for just 6 months, and you can just recall all the things, all the failures and crises you've had in 6 months, and put them down, you have a robust enough risk management plan. They happen, you found a way to get out of it, you did the root cause analysis, no lessons learned, so there's no documentation of that thing that happened. So the next day, you don't have anything that you learned from what happened. It can happen again and again. That's what a failing career is. And many people start blaming the system. Oh, the system is this, system is that. No, there's no system. It's you that is just failing. Sustainability. This is something that draws on our innate instincts, that duty of care to protect the environment and protect the people around us, people that we manage and people around us. Minimize wastage, cut down on materials usage, you know, watch your energy consumption. So many things come under sustainability, a broad area. And we have a session to deal with that. Finance and business. I said we manage money. We have to be very good money managers. We're not going to turn to accountant overnight, but we should know at least the basics of accounting. How do you allocate different costs to different account codes? Simple now. Can you learn it? When you have a contract, it is procurement that leads to contract, contracts that leads to delivery using SLA. That link must be maintained. The FM must be good at contracts, must be good at procurement. So when I hear somebody say, oh, we're not procurement people, the finance people and accounts are different, procurement are different, we are FM, I just laugh. Those guys are only there to serve you. If you don't know what you want, forget it. You guys are not the one writing specifications for what you want to order. I'll just be laughing. If you don't know how to write it, you're already out. Human factors. The FM must be able to develop practices that support the performance and goals of the entire organization. Everybody that works in a building that you are managing are under your care. Their performance, their productivity is under you. The same thing with the team that you use to manage, your vendors and your staff. Must be very good at leadership and management. What is leadership and strategy really? You're able to lead your facility team. You're able to lead the entire organization by showing example, being ethical, and being able to plan strategically, create long-term plans to give the business an edge in the future. We have courses on this program to cover most of all the competencies we're going to be talking about, that we're even talking about now. Operations and maintenance. Thank God somebody mentioned my brother highlight about our business not being a maintenance business. You see where maintenance is hiding? Operations and maintenance. But for you to be able to do operations and maintenance, you must have the basics. One, you must know your assets, asset register. Two, you must know the condition in which they are. The condition is not, oh, I've looked around, this place is very old. No, that's not the condition I'm talking about. There's a structure for documenting condition called Facility Condition Index. After you've done the facility condition assessment, you must be able to inspect and identify defects and scope repairs that will be needed to get those defects, rectified. So by the time you now start developing maintenance program and maintenance plan, you have your what we call your baseline data already done. And that's why some of the projects you are going to be doing in the FM diploma will include the asset register and the facility condition assessment and the maintenance program. And then project management. A competent facility manager is able to plan projects, is able to manage and oversee projects from the beginning to the end. So all the steps you need to define the project, set up the scope, schedule, budget, everything to get approval, put the task in place, administer and manage that project with the contracts involved in them are skills that the FM needs to have. Then performance and quality. You're able to develop and manage and oversee the creation and application of standards for the FM organization. Being able to develop performance metrics. When a facility is being managed, how do you measure the impact of your management on the organization's achievement of its goals? There has to be certain metrics, certain things that you will measure. When we say something is a metric, what is a metric? A metric is a ratio that shows a trend or a pattern. So if you are measuring anything, you must be able to measure against a certain driver. So if I'm saying cost of running this facility, cost of running the facility will be irrelevant by itself. It's not a metric. It becomes a metric if I'm measuring it as cost per user of the facility. Aha, so that's a driver. Cost per square meter, big, small facility, right? That's a driver. And so on and so forth. Metrics is the basis for thinking about quality. Because you want to measure and report on things that have an expected trend. It should trend upwards. What are some that can trend upwards or that should trend upwards? Customer recommendations. Some things should trend downwards. What are some things that should trend downwards? Complaints. Oh, cost of doing that and cost of doing that should trend downwards. What are some things that should stay within a mean, within a certain range, always staying flat, right? There are certain things, vibration of certain machines, temperature ranges, and so on and so forth. You need to know what you are measuring and why. That's quality. So when we say continuous improvement, we're talking about standards, talking about compliance, talking about customer expectation defined by SLA, and so on and so forth. They all build into that. We know what we want to achieve. We know how to measure how what we are doing is leading us there. Because if not, we know how to course correct ourselves and do continuous improvement. Real estate and property management. Be able to develop and implement the real estate master plan. What's a real estate master plan? This is now taking you one step above the day-to-day in FM. Every property that you manage has their development cycle. Why we see assets in facility management as the things inside the building, the pumps, so the generators, the shelves, and all of that are in the building. From a real estate standpoint, this site itself is one asset. One asset. So when you look at the life cycle of that asset, how it goes from stage to stage, what the final, look of that site will be, services that will be performed, people that will be using it, what value they get it for the organization, and how you be maintaining that value over time. That's a real estate master plan for that site. And then we also have the strategic facility plan for organizations that have portfolios of assets across locations, or maybe in a single location like a university campus. You have a strategic facility plan for the entire portfolio, a master plan for each site. These are strategic, high-level, long-term way of looking at properties. And then be able to have technology, how to select kind of technology you need, how to deploy them, how to move the organization from one level of technology to another level of technology. In one of our classes, we're going to be looking at all of this, IWMF, CAFM, CMMS, BAS. So please don't miss any class. And so typically, the FM job is everywhere. You learn all those competencies, but you will not use them in every job. Sometimes you're just doing managing the cleaners. Oh, I'm managing the fleet. I'm managing security. I'm in charge of the fire safety in this organization. So at different times, you will do different jobs, but don't take it for granted that you need to acquire all the competencies, because that's what's going to really elevate you. The FM job is like every other job, 40 hours a week, there should be no hassle. But then we need to, we don't come to work like every other person. We shouldn't be coming to work with every other person, because our job should be because of every other person. So we're not supposed to be doing our jobs to inconvenience those that they are the reasons why we have the job. What am I trying to say? My job as an FM should be done almost invisibly. So if I don't want to burden myself with excessive hours, I need to be very good at scheduling. So why would an FM come to work at 8 like every other person and close at 5 like every other person? When you don't want to bother others, why your job should not be a disruption, which means much of what you do should be done at certain hours. So can you work a schedule, get approval from HR, so that you don't necessarily have to be there at the time that you can't do much, and not there at the time most of the activities are taking place. So you see, some FMs are not being effective because, this working hours things. And many, of course, an FM has to be on call round the clock. That's something that's, we're just like doctors. But even that, when you put a structure in place, does not become a problem, because your system will work for you. The process will work for you when you are not there. It's only when they have to call you for everything that you have to really be on call. You can't do anything for yourself. You can't even go on leave. So when an FM is under such pressure, I look at him and say, you need to get back to the process setting stage. Go back to the basics. What needs to be done? What inspections needs to be done? Plan them. What maintenance activities needs to be done? What communication needs to be done? What interaction needs to be done? What stakeholders need to be engaged? Plan everything and start working the plan. You go on leave, nothing will break. So don't think the FM job is so burdensome. It's inefficiency that is making it so burdensome. And in terms of, so there are two sides of the coin really in the FM career. You can be, I think I stressed it a little bit in my last class, if you can be on the service provider side, or you are the client organization, which we now call the demand organization side, right? Both sides give you different kind of experience. When I was in the demand organization, I was in charge of the budgets. I was the one selecting vendors. I was the one scoping the jobs that need to be done. I created long-term capital plans. I executed those plans. Go through bidding processes. It feels like a king. Somehow you feel that you are top of your game. Management will tell you, you have to stay within so and so bracket. Otherwise, our profitability is going to tank. You have to do this, you have to achieve this, you have to create kind of experience for our workers so you can attract talent. That internal strategy, you tend to rise to that extent. The only downside is that you will not get a broad-based experience. So the FM that works for an FM organization, for example, that is, they're in charge of one high-rise in Ikoyi, 2 residential estates in Lekki, the airport, a market in Ibadan. By the time you work, within 5-6 years, you worked in an aviation environment, you worked in retail environments, you worked in residential. The kind of experiences you get in all of those places are very different. So it gives you a broader horizon. But you usually don't get paid as much as the demand obligation will pay. So imagine an oil service company employing an FM, for example. They will definitely pay that FM more than the more experienced FM that is the contractor rep employed by the contractor, who is going to be there working for this in-house FM and not anything as close, right? But most obviously, in most cases, knows a lot more about FM than the in-house. So how do you balance this? If you're an in-house or demand obligation FM, try to get close to those who are doing the hard stuff on the other side of the coin, and then do networking. And please don't sit on this is what my organization does. You have to learn FM the way it's done outside the organization. So trainings like this will expose you. Trainings in other international certifications and others will expose you. Don't sit and say this is how we do things. Because if only how the organization does things is what you know, if there's any dislocation and you are not there and you are removed, you are useless to the whole profession. You cannot even find a job anywhere else, especially for some of us that would have earned so much. So much. You know, think about it. When I left paid employment, my last take-home pay was $10,500 a month. I can't even think of how much that would have been now. Crazy amount. But even then, it was crazy. Imagine not having a broad range of experience and that job stops because the oil price tanks and the oil and gas company could not pay me anymore. And I'm not looking for a job with an FM company, or I'm not looking for a job with a bank that cannot even pay me 10% of what I was earning then. So you see that other people who have more experience, widespread experience, will snap up that job, even if I'm ready to come down to that level to accept it, I probably will struggle. So it's not always about the money. Have that balance. I've seen some people go for the CFM exam, and because they've not had a broad base of experience, they struggle with the exam, they fail it. Okay, so where will you stand? Take the money, stick with the oil and gas company, or at some point plan your exit and move on to the real world out there. But have a broad base, between both sides. So how do you grow? People start from maintenance, people start from anywhere, and they build their career, gradually all the way up. I've talked through most of this, just read them up and ask your questions. So we talked about the hard and soft services in our last class. Examples of these, how to develop service level agreements. We talked a little bit, but we're still going to look at it more in the procurement class. And then we have a class called the FM organization class. We're going to look at how to create different departmental structure for different kind of operations. In wrapping, don't bury your head in the sand like an ostrich. Keep looking out for improvement and innovative ideas that can advance your ability to contribute to the achievement of organizational goals and the organizations that you work for. So let me wrap up with this last thoughts about the levels. There's this misconception that facility management is for providing services, making sure that important people have what they need to do important things. The thoughts that your job is just to make sure the place is clean, make sure that the equipment are working and functioning. People just see that as FM. And that's a big mistake. Because what you are seeing is shop floor FM, which we call the operational level. Shop floor. There's a tactical level and there's a strategic level. So if you are drawing up rosters, schedule of work for workers, security beat plans, taking inventories in store, how many liters of diesel and how many liters of liquid soap and all that we still have in store. Analyzing data at the shop floor. You are operating at the operational level. If you want to rise up, start moving into tactical tasks like budgeting for next year. For example, start moving into tasks like specifications writing, sales level agreements, development, scope of work for major projects, and so on. And so you are moving into tactical level operations. And then when you now begin to look into multi-year plans, like 30-year capital replacement plan, our roof should be due for replacement. It was installed in 1996. It's due for replacement in 2026. Aha. And then by 2029, we should look at these windows, which should have been so years. By 2037, we are doing long-term planning. You are taking a look at the demographics of your workforce and saying the average age is this, male to female ratio is this. There are going to be more baby boomers in the next 3 to 4 years. Let's start thinking of having a crèche at a certain time in the future, because we need to cater for this number of women coming of age to have children. Up thinking. The economy is tending towards a certain direction. We need to start changing a certain service that we deliver so that we can begin to refine the service to make it more aligned to national goals and economic reality. Making proposals to management on things like long-term plans to either expand or contract space, change policies, affect policies like remote work, to keep the budget and keep the footprint compact. Start looking at things like sustainability metrics, things like our greenhouse impacts, our global greenhouse gas emissions as an organization, well as FM fitting, how much water, how much energy do we consume per driver. You are moving yourself to strategic thinking. The strategy we have for our contracting now, are they contracts for everything, or are we having a unified integrated contract? What technology can we explore? Take for example, people are falling ill. When there was COVID, many people got COVID in my office, for example, and blah, blah, blah. Can I deploy a remote sensor that I can work with HR to catch anybody that has a fever in the organization? So that as soon as we are coming to work in the morning, everybody's temperature is taken remotely by sensors, infrared or occupancy sensors, that sense body heat and can trigger, oh, this guy, let's isolate this guy, not well, let him go home and take care of himself. High level thinking. That's what happens at strategic level. But don't wait to be promoted into the next level. It doesn't have work like that for anybody. Start developing the analysis to make you look ready for the next level. And if that level is not available for you in the organization where you are now, those analyses will go with you to the next interview so that they will hear you talking of advanced solutions that they'll be looking forward to. Once you see an employer nodding that, finally, I'm going to sleep, somebody's going to worry over this worry that wants to kill me in this organization, you cannot name your price. There are interviews where somebody will tell you, this job, we're not paying more than 150,000 a month. You applied, you went for the interview. They say, did you see the amount that we advertised for this job? You say, yes, you saw it, but you won't take less than 450. They will not still let you go. Because in that interview, you proved some very, very strategic value. They will still let you go. You see them almost begging. HR will call you in the night. You will say you want to meet your MD. Somebody has to have another meeting with you. You will see them back and forth, back and forth. They can't afford you if they can't afford you, but you name your price because of the value you have dropped on the table. So for those of us who are in, want to get to the market, want to get jobs, please start minting your CVs. One of the things you are going to do for me is to submit your CV the way it is. If you've not already submitted it, that is usually my first assignment for the class. It's not your assessment or an assignment. Please, we need it submitted, to the training department so that we can look at where your CV is currently structured now. By the time we start telling you what to do to it in subsequent classes, we want to see as was and as improved. So that's an assignment. Please take note of that. I hope somebody in the training department is here or somebody in the class can put that on the group so that everybody can get to see it. Okay, so that's our session. There is something I would like to do differently with this class. In the last class, we didn't select a class governor on time. But in this class, I would like us to select a class governor as quickly as possible. Paul, I told you that you can't put your video on when you are shirtless. Or is it me that is seeing that Paul is not wearing a shirt? Okay. All right. So please, I know you don't know yourself well enough, but we should at some point be able to have nominations for a class governor and a deputy, okay, as quickly as possible so that we can have some more interaction and shared leadership in the class. All right, so having said that, questions, let me hear from you. I'll be able to take up to 5 into this class as well. If you want to participate, please make sure your video is back on. You can be in ghost mode and be talking. All right, so let me hear from Silas.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you very much for this lecture. It was actually very eye-opening, and the one before this. So my question is, sometimes you have some emergencies that are very unpredictable. So I'll give a case study now. For instance, you have 3 generators. You did your check whatever, the oil, everything. Sometimes even go as far as getting a technician to come and check to make sure that everything is fine. And then in the morning, you see that you try starting the generator and you see that your kick starter is burnt or got burnt during the process. Sometimes these are things that are somewhat unpredictable. So I don't know how you can really avoid things like that. Is it that you get extra kick on ground so that you can quickly do that? But that's just one scenario. So I don't know how, especially it seems like sometimes these mechanical equipments, they have minds of their own. So it just happens like all of a sudden, and maybe it happens on a Sunday. You can't really get results or get solutions immediately. So how do you really approach things like that, and how do you avoid things like that? Sometimes we can be very me in question, I can be very defensive when I get in those situations. You talked about that of course anything that happens in your environment is your fault. You should take full responsibilities for it. But sometimes I just feel like I really don't have control over it.
I'm not a magician, right?
Yeah. So I don't know how you handle things like that. I'm talking about the technical aspects and even handling people, because sometimes some people can be very uncomfortable. In my own situation now, for instance, now you is a church, and of course maybe you have a small gen that can power light and a few ACs, but some people will still complain that this is what. No, you try to explain to people that this is something that is beyond my control, and you hear side comments and all that. So how do you handle those people and try to avoid things like that? Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, one basic thing is if you keep a log of every failure you have had for just 1 year, and every time that failure happened, you use a structured tool like a root cause analysis. Root cause analysis can just be 5 whys or just a few pointers to what led to that failure, right? Because there's no failure that is, how would I put it, that is no cause. There's nothing like no cause. The Kickstarter that burnt is not a no cause situation. It's an operational issue. There's there are things that led to it that were not picked up. So by the time you learn from what has happened, the frequency of when certain things repeat themselves, you will know how to prioritize the efforts, because now you envisage them. You create alternative plans. In FM, all I've been teaching so far are to how to create a normal plan where everything is working fine. But the learning you get from that normal plan and normal operations must be used to create an abnormal plan where something can fail and I need to act. Okay? So the same reason why we will put a jump cable, those days of battery disappointing you at the wrong place, you put a jump cable in your car so that you can stop any car. Please, 2 minutes, let me use your battery to start my car, right? That's just it, right? So we have whoever knows that battery is a weak point in his car will go and get a jump cable and keep. So this is the concept. The idea is write down, develop root cause analysis, and use that to envisage that it will happen again. If it happens again, what can you do? You have to ask that question in writing and answer it in writing. The biggest problem we have is we don't go through a structured process to study what failed and document the impact. Then find a solution that will not be as bad as the last one you experienced. We don't have that on record. It will happen again. So instead of being defensive, like that's what I always say, in a very humble way, accept that you ought to have known that this could happen. For example, the reason why in some facilities, they will have public grid, they will have generator, they will also have inverter or UPS for certain things, right? Is because those things cannot fail, right? So if this fails and that fails, at least this one should hold for 1 hour or 2 hours before I go and fix this other one. That's the reasoning. That's what built up to that point. So when the gen suddenly doesn't come up, for example, is it that we cannot operate again because the gen failed. Because if you don't have a means for us to operate, it is you, the FM, that failed. There's nothing to explain about it. There's nothing like, it's not my fault, I didn't understand the gen, you just behave like that. No, 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 no. I should envisage, I should anticipate. And once that happened once, I document it, I plan for it. If it happens again, I see the frequency, I say, okay, this one I must do something better about. So documentation, analysis, and resolution are key, okay?
One more, sorry, one more, just one more. Okay. So I realized that over time, when you take responsibility for certain things that happen in your space, people begin to develop an entitlement mentality in that regard. Of course, like you said in the last lecture, the day before yesterday, that you are responsible. Whatever happens, you are responsible. That said, but I don't know if taking responsibility every single time, I feel like it builds a level of what's the word? I'm trying to find the word, sorry. A level of entitlement with the people around you. And then at the end of the day, they begin to chastise you for little things, little uncontrollable situations. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So how do you manage that? How do you balance that scale?
Before you step into this situation that I'm describing, where you not take responsibility, right? You have raised your game to a level of proactivity that gives you full control of the big picture. Your expectations of yourself have to first be raised very high. You raise the bar on yourself. In fact, you put yourself under pressure to develop very high standards. You have to start doing that immediately. For example, take the communications plan I talked about. Many people don't have a communications plan. Work on that. Take a plan like a risk management plan, where you just basically take a plain sheet and say, let me write a list of all the things that have failed in the recent past, and the ones that are not failed, but I know this one can likely fail. Just make a list of 50 items. And in that 50 items, start doing analysis on each one by one. Why would it happen? What would most likely cause it? How will I prevent it? If it does happen, even with my prevention, how can I manage it? Ask more questions around each item, 50 of them. Most of the things that you are seeing around, people are going to put pressure on you. You've already put pressure on yourself by walking through that risk plan. It's at that point, you now begin to, because somebody says, this is failed. Instead of saying, it's not my fault, you say, I have a plan. You understand? I know exactly what I will do. The person begins to respect you. You are not just taking responsibility, but you have a structured response to it. It's already defined. It's not you being clueless and taking responsibility. No, you must up your game first before you start playing what happens to you. That pressure